So you'd like to know about mosaic backgrounds? Well, you're in the right place. I'm Helen Miles and I'm here to teach you all the tips and tricks you need to make mosaics. The backgrounds in mosaics are called the opuses, or the opera, which is an ancient word for work. So first of all, you have the main design, and then the opus describes how the background is filled in, and it applies both to ancient mosaics and to contemporary ones. And there are different ways of filling in the background, and this is what we're going to be talking about. We'll start with Opus Tessellatum because it's one of the most common ways of filling in backgrounds. First of all, there's an outline around the main design. You can see it very clearly in this bull's head. There's an outline which follows the shape of the bull's head, and then there are straight horizontal lines filling in the background. Again, you can see it very clearly with this branch and leaves. Here's another example of Opus Tessellatum. You can see the outline in the background colour following the shape of the head. However, what's interesting here is that they are both horizontal and vertical lines in the background. Here is a more modern example of Opus Tessellatum, where you can see very clearly the outline and the horizontal lines. It's used here in this quite cramped space. The mosaicist has still followed the outline of the leaves and filled in the background with straightish lines. However, not all mosaic artists use the outline in such a strict way. You can see in this detail by Marc Chagall that he has used the outline around parts of the body, around parts of the figure, but not around the whole body. And in this beautiful little detail by Jim Bakker, there's a kind of hint of an outline, but mostly the straight lines run right up into the design itself. Next is Opus Musivum, which is the ripples in the pond opus, or radiating lines that radiate out from the central motif or design. It's used fairly infrequently in ancient mosaics, but it's quite common in more contemporary ones. So here you can see that the lines in the background follow the shape of the fish. And here, even on a small mosaic, the lines are following the same principle. Opus Circumactum is the repeat fan shape which you see in ancient mosaics. And these are from the Great Palace Museum in Istanbul, where the repeat fan is used over an enormous area. And it's also a design which you see in contemporary mosaics. But don't be fooled, it's very, very time consuming to do effective Opus Circumactum. Opus Palladium is what we now call crazy paving, and it's where the tesserae are put in randomly to fill the space. Surprisingly, you don't see very many examples of it in the ancient world, and I think that's because it's actually more difficult than it seems. However, you see it quite often in contemporary mosaics, especially in community mosaics, where many hands are working on the same project. Opus Vermiculatum is a type of mosaic which uses tiny tesserae. Vermiculatum is a Latin word for worm-like. And so you can see in these examples, the tesserae are maybe 1 or 2 millimetres in diameter. And because the tesserae are so tiny, the mosaicist is able to achieve an incredible depth and detail. Opus Regulatum refers to a mosaic background which is laid in a grid. You don't see it very often because, of course, when you buy your tesserae, they come in a grid, they come in sheets which are laid out in a grid. So if you're just going to lay them as a grid, you're essentially just repeating how they come out from the manufacturer. We'll finish with what I call Opus Everythingum. When you look at ancient mosaics, you realise that actually a lot of them don't follow any strict rules about how you lay the background. Some of them will use a little bit of this and a little bit of that when it comes to laying the background. So you can see here with this pheasant and the urn has the radiating lines around it, whereas the pheasant has a few radiating lines and then reverts to horizontal lines. And if you look at the background here, you can see there's a kind of Opus Circumactum, repeat fan shape, but not really. It's more like semicircles. I think as mosaicists working today, we all use a little bit of the opuses which come from traditional mosaics, from ancient mosaics, but we adapt them according to our needs and what we want to express in our mosaics. I hope you find this useful. If you like this video and you'd like to see more, then please subscribe below.